But Spurs with an important win today. It's been a clean sheet, an important win. Harry Kane breaking more records. Decent performance today, Alan.
It was a poor game. Before I start, congratulations, Chelsea fans. You avoided relegation this season. Go again next season. It's still going to be well. So big up to you. For myself, with Spurs, it was just one of them. It was a really bad performance, but it was just Palace was just as bad that it looks like it was a decent performance, but it gets you a win. Mason tried a few different things, and some of it looked good, some of it looked bad. But yeah, it's one of them things where we'll take the win. People I don't know, it's just one of them games. It's not. Yeah, people I see some Spurs fans going crazy on the socials saying that give Mason time, give him the job for next season. Obviously, there's certain players there that can do a job. And it's like, if we stick with what we've got and we go into next season, we're just going to be as bad or worse. This is why
Are you telling me there are Tottenham fans that would prefer Ryan Mason over Julian Naglesmann?
Yeah,
I've seen it.
There's Tottenham fans that
what do you guys call these people? Because the people that want Frank to stay, we say proper Chelsea. What do you guys call? What's the equivalent of this?
Delusional is the only word I can say. Literally, I've seen people say because Ryan Mason looked like he was changing the formation and going for 4-4-2. This is elite from Ryan Mason. I'm thinking to myself, what on earth's going on? I just don't understand it.
It wasn't even a 4-4-2.
I know, but people thought it was going to happen like that, and that's why they were saying, "Oh, it's elite," changing it. I'm like, it's ridiculous. This is why people don't take Spurs serious, because you have some fans out there that will just be like, "I'm happy with people that have come through the academy and passion and staying with Tottenham," and it's like, no. It was a decent performance. Emerson Royale played well. Romero played better than he has. People were saying it's because Dyer's out of the team. It could be. It could just be that it just like the time the players are chilled together. But it's just one of them performances. I weren't impressed. I was watching it. I was bored out of my skull half the time.
Yeah.
Palace was awful as well. If Palace would have shown up in recent weeks, we could have easily been got out and lost. It's just one of them games where I'm like, I want the end of the season to come. I want this manager to be announced and sorted out now so they can see, because I know what's going to happen in the summer. Right, they're going to come in, the new manager, and Ryan Mason will go, oh, keep him. It should be the new manager deciding this and seeing this for the last part of the season. It's just going to be a poor start to the next season as well. I've had enough with Spurs as a club and how we do things. It's just shocking. And today was an all right performance, but nothing to write home about. I don't understand why some Spurs fans are absolutely going mad on socials. I really don't get it.
Do you agree with that, young Daniel?
Yeah, 100% agree with it. Alan is 100% spot on. It was a boring game. Nothing really entertaining. I was doing a watch along, and half of everybody in the stream was talking about Clash of Clans the whole game. So I was bored to death out of my mind. It's the same tactics as Conte. I'm going to be dead honest. I don't blame Mason for that, though. I understand why he's playing the same tactics as Antonio Conte, as though he's come into the job for a very short period of time, and it doesn't make sense to change all the tactics for just a few last games and make the players learn a completely different system for absolutely no reason. Just stick to the Conte system. But look, we made a few different changes. I liked Emerson Royale at right center back. Poor defensively, he didn't look the best, but we know he's not the best defensive player. Attacking wise, his crossing is phenomenal. Harry Kane breaking records, which is what he does best. So yeah, it was a boring game, but at the same time, we got 3 points on the board. And at this point of the season, what matters is getting 3 points on the board. So we've done that, so I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I've got Harry Kane, as you say, breaking 2 records today. Most headed goals in a Premier League season. Becomes number 2. Let's say breaking a record. He's surpassed Wayne Rooney now and gone into 3rd in the all-time scoring charts. It's phenomenal. I think he's also got the 2nd best or 3rd best goals to game ratio in Premier League history as well. So a brilliant day for him individually as well. Jacob, but both like Dan and Alan have said, poor performance, happy with the win. But it feels just like going through the motions now for these last 3 or 4 games until the end of the season. Or are there some hopes here of Champions League football if Man United have a little slip up?
No, I don't think any Spurs fan in their right mind has any Champions League hopes right now, personally. For me, I just wanted to see something different, and I'm going to have to disagree with Dan just a little bit. I think, why not? Let's see what Ryan Mason can do for these remaining few games. Why not? Because when he took over for Jose, it was like, okay, what is Ryan Mason's tactics? What's his formation here? Same thing Jose did, just a couple different, his few of his mates in, right? We call him Ryan Mason. And it was actually nice to see him divert away from Conte's tactics, because for me, that's a little bit of a safety net. Say, oh, this is what we've run all season, so I'm just going to kind of stick with that. To me, that just seems a little weak mentality if you're trying to actually be a manager in some capacity in the future, not at Tottenham, but somewhere else. And I think it's funny that some people are Mason in. Sorry about that. I think my connection messed up a little bit.
You're back.
Sorry about that, but I think it's a little silly to want Ryan Mason in a serious note, just because he hasn't managed at any top level, really. I don't even know if he's got his UEFA license, technically, if he can even manage, say we were to get into the Champions League. But we're not going to get Champions League, maybe Europa, maybe Conference League. To me, I'm not really pressed either way. We need to see some changes. I think Dan, Allen, and we all agree that we need to see some kind of change before we really get all excited and high and mighty on anything we do. For me, looking at the 11, dropping Eric Dyer, that is a must do. Look at what happens when you don't have Eric Dyer out there. Guess what? We keep a clean sheet. And to me, he's atrocious. He's everything that's wrong with this club, mentality wise, technically wise, tactically wise, skill set wise, lack of skill set, if you will. To me, he's everything that's wrong with this club. He is the ethos of a player who cannot step up, whose locker room is growing moss. He's been here 10 years and he is not good enough. So to see Ryan Mason to have a little bit of gumption, a little bit of cojones, if you will, that was really welcoming to see. Drop Eric Dyer. No, I don't want to. Honestly, when he came back onto the pitch, I was like, here we go. We're going to concede. It's going to be Spurs bottle another lead at home. That's legitimately what I thought, because when I see Eric Dyer have zero hope, I always predict us. Anytime he plays, I predict us to concede. So the fact he got out there and we didn't concede, even though it was only like 7 minutes, I was happy to see that, we changed things up. Maybe see a little bit more of Ryan Mason's personality. I think that that's a welcoming sight. Not that I have any hopes, not that I want him as my permanent manager. I've jokingly said Mason in on a lot of different Spurs streams, just because I think he would be the best one to help sink our Titanic faster. It took 3 hours something for the Titanic to sink. I think Ryan Mason could have done it in an hour and a half. So for me, Ryan Mason in, we need to change at Tottenham Hotspur, and he may be the lead for that. Conte could be the martyr that we all needed. Who knows?
Can I respond to Jacob?
Yeah, go for it, mate. Go on.
On his point. So you said that that Ryan Mason should have tried his tactics to get himself a job at another club. Now he's coming through to a short period of time. Would you agree that his focus right now, put into the club, should be trying to get us as high up as the table as possible, or do you think his focus should be trying to get a job at another club? Because for me, I think his focus should be winning as many games as possible from now to the end of the season, and I don't think that's possible implementing a new style from now to the end of the season with a few games left.
I don't really agree with that though, because a lot of Spurs fans that I heard like on streams and stuff, they were complaining about Conte's style of play and how defensive he was in terms of bringing on negative subs that aren't really going to change the game. So even like against Liverpool, I saw Ryan Mason at least go for it. He brought on Moura, who again shouldn't be at your club. I don't know why he's still there. And he brought on Danjuma as well. I'm sure he brought on. Was it Danjuma he brought on?
They're all living off of one night. They're all living off one good performance.
Danjuma. So with Ryan Mason, he seems to be a little bit more brave, and that's one big problem I had with Graham Potter. He wasn't brave. He would bring on Gallagher instead of bringing on Mudryk. Do you know what I mean? Or just go completely negative. So I don't see how you can criticize him in that aspect to say he should just play Conte ball, because that wasn't helping you guys. I think what he's doing now is actually the correct thing to do, but he shouldn't get the job permanently. I just think now he's got nothing to lose. Just go for it.
Yeah.
So I don't really
Look, I get what you're saying. But tactics are different from decision making. Being brave is completely different from the style of play. You could play the same tactics and the same system, but bringing on players in like times where you need players to come on and change the speed of the game, that has nothing to do with your tactics. That's just being brave. I think he should stick to the Antonio Conte's tactics, but he should be brave with his substitutions. They're two completely different things in my mind.
Yeah.
So,
But the
I think
thing
we
with
agree, but
Antonio Conte's tactics is, Dan, these players are not good enough, and we saw it all season. That's why
these players-
Conte got himself.
Jacob,
These players can't do what Conte requires. So to
these
me,
players can't do what Conte requires. These players can't do what Mourinho requires. These players are not good in attacking football. They're not good at defensive football. They're just not good at
so
football.
why would we?
Let's just
So
say
why
as it
would
is.
we stick on that? That's what I'm saying. Why would we stick with
Any style we
the
play, we're
tactic
gonna-
that these players clearly cannot grasp at this point? I think you got to change something. You got to try something different, because if not, you're constantly making the bed and then laying in it and being like, why is the bed not made? Because we keep going back and forth with this. You know, I just want to see something different. And today it wasn't great, but I saw something different, and I think that's something to hinge on.
I say, Jacob, I get where you're coming from. I think for me, again, everything's about balance. I think it's absolutely right. Go, right, let's try something different, because what Conte was doing wasn't working. But it's where certain Spurs fans, I'm only going by what Alan said, are like, oh, give him a chance at the club. That's too far, because even if he wins you 4 or 5 games on the bounce, he isn't ready to try and get your team to where you want it to be. He's just not, in my opinion.
No managers.
It's well, there are managers that could do it, but they need to be elite. Nagelsmann can get you guys back towards competing, but like I think, listen, your club spends enough money to win major trophies.
We don't spend it well, though.
Yeah,
you can spend money on a bunch of trash.
That's exactly the point I was going to make. Your owners need to spend the money on who the manager wants, and stop lying to your managers. You've lied to your last 3 managers, made them promises and not delivered. How clubs are run, for me, is infinitely more important than the quality of manager you've got. Because it doesn't matter if you've got Pep. If City was run like shit, Pep wouldn't be doing this. That's your foundation, the way your club is run. So I think it doesn't really matter if it's Ryan Mason or Nagelsmann or you get Pep off City. You keep running it how you run it, you will fail in the long term. And that's why your fans should be focused on. It's like with Chelsea. If the owners stay at the dressing room, let football people run the club, let the manager buy and sell who he wants, Chelsea will be back to competing for the top 4, in my opinion, next season, and challenging for the FA Cups and Carabao Cups. They might not win it.
Yeah.
There or thereabouts. They're a few years away from challenging for the Prem, but how you run a club is key. And all the clubs near the top of the table doing well, they run well. All the smaller teams doing well are run well. All the teams doing shit are run badly. I mean, it's just you don't get a well-run team who invest money with a brilliant manager that are crap. I just don't know where those teams, like, not long-term anyway. It's a mad one to me. Jerome says, we definitely need to be out of the Europa League next season. At least let's focus on domestic cups. Yeah, look, it's...
Yeah.
You got all of our teams spend enough money where there should be, and I'm pushing back hard on this now moving forward. There is no such thing as the bigger fish to fry stuff is a nonsense. And I want everyone rejecting that crap moving forward, because all our clubs should be in trophies to win them. And if you go out in the first round of the Carabao Cup, there should be a sense of embarrassment or anger or frustration, because the irony is when you guys all get knocked out early, it makes it easier for your top 6 rivals to win trophies. The reason why Man United had this is why when people go, you had an easy run, Terry. The reason why I laugh at that is because only because all those shit teams that you said we beat knocks you cunts out. It don't make sense as banter. Nagelsmann not ready to advance negotiations because we don't have a director of football. That's a madness if true. Legitimately,
we don't have a director of football, and that's my point with Naglesmann. Is why you want to bring another manager that you think can win you something here. We saw what happens with Jose, a serial trophy winner, one of the greatest managers in the history of the game, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of him, and the fact that he couldn't get us over the line. Antonio Conte, another serial winner. I was told Antonio Conte is Jose Mourinho in his prime. And look what that, I mean, we all know how that ended. So
but Nagelsmann's not a serial winner. He's more on the project side. He's a bit of both. He's not a serial winner. I wouldn't call him that. So he would be a good fit for Spurs, I reckon.
But getting him in is the aspirations of succeeding in some way, in my opinion. If you do that, that's another move, in my opinion, of the board basically trying to get out scot-free from this season. Like, look, we're trying next season.
Yeah, well, I think with this, you don't need a director of football to bring a manager in.
Yeah.
Stevie can do it. The problem you have, and what this tells me, and this is the worry for Tottenham, is that you have not decided on an ideology of football, how you want to play. Because if you know how your club wants to play football and the type of players you need for it and the type of manager that's needed, it's great to have a director of football, but you don't need one. The reason, if it's true that it's slowing down because of that, maybe Nagelsmann's sitting there and saying, listen, I don't trust what you guys are telling me. We don't know what direction the club's going in. You bring me in to play my brand, but you buy me players for Diego Simeone, we're in trouble. And that's what's gone on at Tottenham now for 4 or 5 years. Your manager and your players are not a match for each other. It's square pegs round holes.
Also, if it's a director of football, shouldn't they be in charge of who the manager picks? Which manager to pick? Do you know what I mean? So,